rather than red. Please.
Yeah.
It's a little difficult to read.
And bigger. I actually asked for a bigger one. I'm older than you.
We have a lot of red left.
Oh, okay.
Use it for some, can't use it for resolutions, I suppose.
Can you make it bigger though?
Yeah, I think it was just on, so it go on one sheet.
Sure.
Okay.
But, do we have to stick with the colored sheets for claims?
Well, it should be a lighter color if it is white. I wouldn't see why we would have to. It was just a way to find it if you would look. I think that there was a color sheet. Made it simpler than all the lights.
It's always, yeah, we put it as the last page, I don't know, I don't need to have a color. Because we're running low on paper unless you guys want red.
No.
If we don't have to order anymore, it'd be nice.
No red.
So council request duly noted by the clerk.
Thank you. That was simple, huh?
Yeah.
Switching gears, I got a couple questions about
Okay.
PPR engineering,
Yeah.
that engineering for the electrical project we got going on for 4700.
Where's that? Yeah, that's for the, that's, yeah, it's for the switch gear.
Here, okay. And I assume somebody's reconciling that, so we know the guy who's in charge of that. Yeah, look at it in the contract.
Well, they didn't give us just a set amount for engineering.
They just gave us a full project cost.
Correct. Well, the full project cost didn't include engineering, not all of it.
So who approves that when that invoice comes in?
I looked at it, I looked at it.
I guess my concern is that they're not overcharging us for the project. So how do we then reconcile this? I don't know.
I wouldn't know how to know if they were charging too much for engineering. I'm not an engineer, so I wouldn't know it
No, I'm
was too much
not
money.
talking everything, I'm talking about.
But the cost, that was just the bid from the construction company.
Oh, did the engineer ever give you a percentage or some kind of cost?
I don't think give you a set of, an actual set amount.
They're gonna give you a set amount, but they, I mean, anytime you have a big project like that, you're gonna have
Incurring costs?
incurring costs, yes.
That makes my question about how do we know if we have knowledge to do the project and all the costs?
Well, until we decide how we're going to fund the projects, right now we don't have any of the dollars for the projects. We haven't decided how we're
Yeah,
going
I
to fund them.
understand that, but my general question, if, for example, we got a project where it's 2,000 engineering costs and we ended up being 10,000. That's my concern, is how we up front make sure that we have their numbers.
Well, this switch gear was started before I ever started, so I don't know how that was all decided.
I'm just generally speaking.
I know that totals, like projects, you can pretty much expect like, I mean, a project like we have going, you can probably expect another $50,000 on top of what the project is, the engineering costs. There's gonna be costs after the fact.
I'd like to talk to the engineering companies and say, you gotta give us some fixed costs.
Or
Financial.
approximately.
Yeah, financial situation. Yeah. When you talk 50,000, it would be only like 10,000 budget. So I'd like to, I don't know about the rest of the council, but I sure would like to bring up council to get a better idea of what and if we can with our engineers, that's what we're that. Okay, enough on that.
So we should probably review our approval process and our costing process and that all.
Well, we need to do it up front. with
Up front.
engineering.
Yeah, somebody can get accountable that we do that each time.
There should be something on the contract that everybody's signing.
I thought we seen something. always,
Because
but-
the only reason I bring this up, but our architect in the building, they are charging us a percentage of overall project cost. That's kind of common practice, so I'm sure think that there's something in the contract, whoever signed it. If there wasn't,
I thought it was like we got everything, just changing.
So let's pull those contracts and take a look at those, and is that, something that finance and economic development would be willing to take a look at?
And something that would be really nice for myself and Alex, is to have these questions like that before we come in here. Because then I'm stuck here like, I don't know, it was before I started, so I don't know what that contract says for engineering costs. And it kind of puts me on a spot that's really uncomfortable. So it would be nice if we could have these questions before.
Well, I didn't need that. But I would do that.
So can finance and economic development, would that be a,
Yeah.
so let's pull this contract, let's see what's where we're at on these, and then we'll keep it in mind, and we can help make sure that we keep that top of mind going forward. Okay, any other questions on claims? We're hearing none, I assume we're ready to vote. All those in favor of approving the claims and pre-authorized claims signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye. Carried. All right, item number 7 is presentation by the TCA. You are on. Please state your name. How about?
I'm going to start. I'm Nelda Werfmeister, and I just want to thank you for appointing me. I'm the at-large member on the TCA board. Yeah, basically, I mean, nothing. Subscriber. I've learned a little bit. I'm sure you get it. There's a lot to learn, which I'll never know. Anyway. Larry Schwarbeck is the representative for the city of Paullina, and DJ Weber is the general manager. He's the guy with all the answers, but I'm just going to share a couple fun facts first. For those of us with a poor memory or people new in town, TCA goes way back to Paulina's sake in 1998. The people of Paullina voted to establish a municipal broadband cable communications or television system. And that same year, a 28E agreement was signed and executed where Sanborn and Pringar were joined by Paullina and Hartford. And there was a bond to finance the project, and it's all been paid off, and that's all well did. And the cost of telephone service stayed the same for 20 plus years, at least 20 years.
Actually, the entire time, we've never raised the phone rates.
Okay, so the whole time, pretty impressive. So anyway, in my time on the board, which has been about a year, I've been very impressed with staff, with especially EJ and Gary. They're very committed to providing the best service at the least cost. And this is probably all know, very, very, very competitive market. So I really appreciate that. And also, one of the things that I didn't realize is city staff and like school board works with TCA trenching comes to mind, but some of their expertise in equipment, and it's a much better deal for us than if we had to go out and hire a so, they do big things. And with that, since the city and the citizens are vested in these TCA, I would encourage everybody who's listening, who's not listening, who's out there, if you don't already, to subscribe to TCA services. And with that, DJ with all the answers.
Well, once a year I come down and talk to you guys, so this is my time. Start off, if you have any questions, you guys have any general questions about TCA or anything that we're doing that you want to get off or have an answer to? At large, anything? Nothing? I'll just give you, so with our telephone service, it's pretty much the same thing. We're just maintaining our switch that we have, which is still very costly to maintain a switch. Less and less people getting landline phones at their house, but still very costly to maintain that switch. Our TV service, we've upgraded our TV service to an IPTV. The RF television service that we're offering today to all of the towns is fading away. So the equipment that we're using to deliver that, there's less and less providers maintaining it and taking care of that RF equipment. So we had to make a change to get to IP. So that's why we upgraded our video service to an IP video. It's an Android, we got an Android app with it, so it's now going to be a TV service that you can take with you on any of your devices. So it supports Apple, Android, Fire Sticks, various things like that. You can bring your own device and have TV service, so you don't necessarily even have to have one of our cable boxes at your house anymore. So there's some reduction in cost in some of that, because, for an example, some of our boxes were as high as $15 just for the box. So if you don't have to pay for the box, you bring your own device, there's less cost involved in having our TV service. Some of the things that we get with the new IPTV is we're recording every single channel for 3 days. So you can literally go on and back up your television 3 days and watch something that happened, 2.5 days ago. So you don't have to worry about, per se, having a DVR service or recording that service, because you'd be able to just go back and watch anything 3 days ago. Now, if you wanted to keep something longer than that, we do have personal DVR space where you can have your own space and record things that you can keep at a much longer time frame. Internet speeds, we just upped those, so we made all residential services symmetrical services. So Hartley's getting closer to being all fiber, so it was easier for us to make that switch. With our cable modems and what we did in the past, it's hard to do a symmetrical service with cable modems just because the RF signals didn't allow enough bandwidth to make that happen. So now that we're fiber, all in Paullina, Prindar, and Sanborn are all fiber. Hartley's about half of fiber, and half the town is still on coax. We decided to just move those speeds to symmetrical. So you get a service from TCA today, you're getting a 50 by 50 or 100 by 100, whatever level that you're subscribing to, it's a full symmetrical speed. So you should be able to upload as much as you can download. So overall, that should make the service better for residential. We did make a change in doing that where we don't do the same service for businesses, but all those symmetrical speeds are available to businesses. It's just not they're not available at the same residential price. We also lowered our faster speeds, so the 500 by 500 and 1 gig by 1 gig is actually a lower price than it was a month ago. And I think I already mentioned that Paullina, Prindar, and Hartley are all 100% fiber. Hartley is about half done. I know that they would like to be all done. A lot of complaints from people that are still on the old stuff and wanting to be on the fiber. So we're doing a lot of rural projects. So we got our grant money. I think I talked to the council a couple of years ago now about applying for some grant money. Well, between TCA and EverTech, we got around $14 million in grant money. So Not all of that was for Paullina. Primgar, Evertech went out and got some of their own stuff with Holstein and Rock Rapids and other towns and stuff that they were seeking some grant money for too. But for partly Paullina and Primgar, we got the rural, so we're able to support the exchange boundaries that we have for our phone boundaries. We got grant money to serve fiber to those instead of doing it through our wireless network that we were doing before. So we had to hire some contractors to meet some of the timelines for getting the grants done before they expire. So we hired some contractors to help us with Paullina. So I think by the end of next month, all of rural Paullina fiber will be built. We're working currently in the Hartley area, also putting in fiber. We're hoping that by the end of this digging year, so sometime middle of December, we're hoping that we're going to be done with what we have in Hartley, being able to have that part done, and then starting Primgar next year. So we're out with that. Is there any questions? Is there anything about our services that you guys are hearing or would like to see changed? I guess one of the things, it's good to have Nelda and Larry here. I think this is the first time that I've been here and my board members have been here with me. So that's nice to see. I know that we're concerned that we want to make sure that we're conveying to the council and basically to the citizens is that if there's something that we're doing that you don't like and would like to see changed, all the people in this room can make that change, right? So we want to make sure that the service that we're delivering to the community is what the community wants for service. Because it is your service, and we're here to support that. So if you hear things, or if there's things that we can make changes or try to accommodate people with something else, just let us know. Let Larry know, let Nelda know, or call me directly at PCA. But we want to make sure that we're conveying that to all of the city councils as we go around, or I go around and talk to them with my board members, that we want to make sure that the service that we're delivering is a service that the city is proud of having. So, with that, is there any questions?
What did you change over from RF to be able to offer IP?
So that,
TV services?
so we started, unfortunately, we started about a year ago with the IPTV. When we did not roll it, we just started rolling it out. We had a lot of bumps in the road that we had to overcome with things just not working the way and being as reliable as we wanted them to be with the IPTV. So when we deliver the RF TV, we put our set-top box in your house. And all we have to do is make it work to that set-top box, right? Because most of the TVs are just an HDMI cord to them and not a whole lot. So we just have to work between that box and us to make sure that video signal works. Well, now with the IP, it's all app-driven, and our app is in the Apple Store and in the Android store. It has to work with every device. So we have to try to figure out how to test that. And every device is different. So, you have a Fire Stick, that's a totally different app than what would go on your Android phone. So we have to be able to test all of those apps, and so we've limited ourselves on a lot of the amount of apps that we service things. So for example, people have asked us maybe to do like an LG TV. Well, we've held back from that because it costs us money to put that app out there, and then how many people are going to use the LG TV app to make it worthwhile, and then plus we have to test it constantly. So even if we do an upgrade, then we have to go out and test that app. Did the upgrade work on that? It's extremely complicated. So we've limited the amount of devices that we support, but try to support the main ones that people have. Plus, we have a box of our own. So we have a box that we've designed to try to make that box look and feel, so when you turn it on, it looks and feels just like the TV that you have today, your RF TV. But it is new and it's IP, so there are some differences, right? So one of the things is go to the guide. It looks, we have that same grid guide kind of look that we have. So you can go to the guide and look at, see what's on and that kind of stuff. Well, one of the advantages in that guide is you can back up 3 days and just click on a program and start watching it. So that's new versus the RF TV that we have today. So, but we tried to keep it the same. A lot of the people that have our TV service, I'm not going to say all of them, but the majority of them are older people, and they don't like change. They don't. You come start putting new stuff in there, and they're like, oh, wait a second. So we tried to, with our box that we created, our IPTV box, we tried to make that be as much as like one of our small little VTA boxes. So to operate a lot like that, so that it try to keep it as simple as we can. So we just started rolling that out.
Okay.
So it is here on this TV now. I made sure that the guys came down and got it installed on this TV. So it is something that you can look and play with on this television if you want to after the meeting or something like that, or come up here at any time.
So residents will have to, they won't have to get a different TV or to use the IPTV.
Right. So you can do it the same way that you do today. So like the little VTA box, the small box that you have, we could just swap those out. You know what I'm saying? So instead of having that box, you could have our little TCA box. I don't know if I can pull it down here, but you guys have it kind of tight. Oh yeah. So
What's nice about this here, you go in the guide and you just go down there and you find a movie that started 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago. It will, when you push on the button, it will say, do you want to start at the beginning or do you want to start live? So that 10 minutes you're behind, you can push and then start at the beginning of it and go.
I can just tell you that I don't ever watch commercials, ever. Right? So I just watch from live, so you can let the program be over with, or you can start halfway into it, start at the beginning. As soon as the commercials come, I just fast forward.
So it's just a
Tiny little box. Okay. The difference is that this one is Ethernet, so it's kind of like an internet cable that's in your house, not a coax cable. So it's taken our guys a little bit more time to install them because some places that people have TVs, they don't have Ethernet wires. Now, these are capable of working wirelessly though too in the house, but we do that on a pretty rare basis wirelessly because wirelessly is just not guaranteed. How good is your wireless signal depends on the day, the weather. Did your neighbor just buy a high power router and is now overpowering your router and your wireless signal is just not quite as good as it was, right? So there's a lot of variables that can play into wireless. So that's why when we put them in, we try to make sure that all of them are hardwired. But we do have a few that are out there that are wireless. So we also have some of the rural customers that we have on our wireless internet services that have this right now or have this service right now at their houses. We've had one person testing that since we installed it. So, just giving us feedback anytime they see things wrong, that kind of stuff. So then, not saying that there's not always going to be things that we have to do to, it's every time they do a patch, it seems like, oh, we put this in to fix this, and then it broke that, So it's a never-ending battle, but we're always trying to stay on top of it. things moving forward. So I think one of the things that the council and all of the people who voted for this back in '98, we didn't actually start delivering services until 2000, but I think if they maybe had an idea of how much money that we've had to spend to stay up with technology, it might have scared everybody away. So, because it's really a tough choice to stay on like a cutting edge or a bleeding edge of that sword, where you spend money on something that you wish you wouldn't have because nobody wants it, and then you don't spend something on something that everybody wants now all of a sudden, because electronics and all the apps and various things are very trendy. So.
Any questions for Jay? Thanks for the updates, appreciate it.
You bet.
I just have one thing to say. Remember, TCA is municipal. It's yours. If people are complaining, we gotta hear it. You know, if they think what rates are too high, it's not our fault. You know, just wait until you have to go into Sioux Center, and that is,
Premier.
Premier, yeah, they'll give you a good rate to hook up. So this is ours, People come in and complain, and, you know, up there in town, you know, they help set it up. They're part of it.
Well, we do everything we can do to try to keep the rates as low as possible. So we want to make sure that the citizens are aware of that fact. I mean, we're doing everything we can to keep the rates as low as possible, and all the board members are also subscribers. So, I mean, they're paying, if they vote in a rate increase for something, they're voting it in for themselves too. So they're also having to look at it. So, and we have a programming board too. So I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but we have TCA has two boards. So we have the finance and overall operations board, which Larry and Melba are on, and then we have a programming board that we have where they oversee the programming of the cable TV. So they add and remove the channels that are with the cable channels. So if somebody says, well, why do we still have this channel? There's a programming board member, and we have meetings. Those are the people that make the decisions if they want to add or remove channels. This board has said to them, if you add 5 sports channels, we're raising the rates. So remember that when you choose to add 5 sports channels, because they're, obviously sports channels are the most expensive channels to have. And so the programming board has to be very cautious about what they're doing with channels, because this board has said to them, well, whatever you do, we're passing on. So make good decisions. So
We still have programming yell on it too, right?
yes.
So what percentage of your budget goes towards maintaining infrastructure versus programming content purchases?
So when you look at the TV service, when we started back in 2000, I think cable TV was around $32, $34 is what cable prices were. And TCA was making about $10 out of that 34. Today, our rates are about 107, and TCA is making 7. So that's how much is going out to the program.
So that's not much.
And so that's just with the video service, so all TV. But yeah, I mean, the biggest chunk of those is the retransmission that we get stuck with paying. It's a part of the Telecommunication Act of '86. So we're dealing with laws back from '86 that force us to pay retransmission consent to the local off-air channel. So we're $40 of your cable bill goes straight to Sioux City. I mean, right off the top. And we can't even sell you anything else before that. So, some of the things we have to combat against is when you look at a YouTube TV or some kind of streaming service, they don't have to sell you the local channels unless they want to. through the act, we have to, that's the first level of service that we have to sell you. And you're stuck paying that retransmission consent right away. So, I mean, we're at a competitive disadvantage because of that. So we constantly are trying to do what we can do to keep cable rates low. But, I mean, you know, we have people come in the office all the time, you know, this TV rate's just too high. I mean, I can't argue with them. They're extremely high. But unless we can get Congress to make some changes, which, you know, I think we all know how that works out, right? It doesn't work that way. So unless we can get some people making some changes with that and the retransmission consent, you know, because we'll tell a lot of times, we tell people, you know, we're paying this retransmission consent to the locals, and then they get upset and they call the local stations down there and say, why are you charging me so much in my cable for your station? And then they respond to them by saying, well, we're free. What are you talking about? Well, they're free over the air. So if you put an antenna up on the roof of your house, you can get them for free if you can get it pulled in, right? But if we take it in on a tower that's 200 feet in the air, bring it down, stick it through a cable and send it to you, well, that's retransmission, and they want a fee for that. So that's really where we get started with that. So,
Thanks. Any other questions for TJ? Thanks for your annual update.
if you guys would like to stop up to at any time, just make sure and let me know when you'd like to, but I mean, we can show you the facility, the investments that the community has made in this. I mean, hopefully someday before I retire, you'll have all of the surrounding Paullina and the town will all be fiber, so you guys will have a huge asset to this community. I mean, it'll be worth quite a bit of money, and you'll have a big asset to this community. So.
Sounds good. Thanks for everything.
Yeah, thanks for everything.
Yep.
Alright, moving on. You guys want to hang out all night, or do you want to go up next?
We'd like that.
Is the council okay with?
I'm good with
Yep.
that.
Agenda item? Okay. Item number 10.
Okay, so, I don't know, previously the county used to pay for our EMTs to take classes. I'm not sure what you guys are all wanting for information on this, but I think the class is about $2,000. Is that what you got a bill for per person, Michelle?
I think it's $1,750.
And previously the county would reimburse up to $1,500 for classes, but not until people had passed their test. So we've been getting $20,000 a year from the county, and we can use that for things like on-call wages for our people that are on our crew, continuing education. We can use it for different things. So next year, they've had to redo their budget a little bit. So next year, they are no longer paying for people to take the class, but they increased our budget to $26,500. So we're getting a little bit more money from the county, but they won't pay for people to take the class anymore. So we were having to pay a little bit of money because they would only reimburse $1,500, so we were having to pay the difference. So it's a good
over and above your 20 grand
yes, they were paying that before.
for the class.
They were paying for the classes previously, but they are not going to anymore. They had to kind of redo their budgeting a little bit.
This fiscal year now?
This fiscal year, they will not pay for classes anymore, but they increased the amount we get to $26,500. Each town gets a little bit different amount.
Okay.
So it's a good thing and a bad thing. Like, we're getting more money, but we can't use that money to give our crew more, but now we have to take it out if we have EMTs that need their class paid for. So if we don't pay for people's class, it's gonna be hard to get more EMTs. And some towns are in that boat. Like, some towns aren't submitting any money where they're saying, hey, we have 3 people take the class, can we pay for this? Some towns don't have anybody that's taking it. So sometimes it's not affecting them out of their general pot of money that they're getting if they don't have anybody else in. Personally, I feel like we need at least a couple people taking the class every year just to keep new people coming in. Because as people are getting older, their life changes, like they maybe aren't going to stay on forever. So I feel like we need to continually be paying for people to take the class to keep the amount of people we have. When I came out a few years ago, we were down to 2 people, and you can't get down that low because you get burnout. So you need a crew that's big enough that can turn when you're recruiting, I guess.
What do you have now?
I think that we have about 13 or 15.
15, I think we're at now. 15 ambulance people, then how many are EMTs?
Actual EMTs, not nurses that are on ARM exceptions. Currently active, we have myself, Doug, and Laura,
And
and Ian, but he's off to school.
so the nurses don't actually have to take this EMT class. We can, or it's an RN exemption. We have to take the class that costs, I think, $60. So it's much cheaper to have nurses, but we really appreciate people from the lay people from the community that are willing to take the EMT class. We did have a couple people that took the class last year, in the last fiscal year, but they did not pass the test before the fiscal year, so the county will pay for that. So that unfortunately has to get bumped into, that we'll have to pay for it now, because we can't submit it back to them.
So what do you factor in as far as how many EMT tests that you have a goal of having taken every fiscal year? Like 2, 5?
How many people?
Yeah, how many is that?
I think a good goal would be like 2 to 3 people, because if you take on 5 new people at once, it's kind of a lot to be trained. You're not going to put new people on together. So I think if you have 2 or 3 that are learning every year, that'd be amazing. So we had a couple last year that have done a lot of training, they just haven't passed yet. We have one more that's interested in taking this year. If you can constantly have that, I think that you would keep good numbers, but you're not always going to have 2 per year, maybe.
I'm just trying to think about it, about the cost of the city.
Yeah.
So.
And I think this year it will cost the city more than we thought, because last year we thought that those 2 classes were going to get paid for by the county, but then they got bumped over. And then we had one more that took the hybrid class this summer, and we had one more interested. So right now we have 4 classes kind of hanging, 4 people kind of hanging out there that we're going to have to pay for. And we do have a little bit extra money from the county, but that, that's kind of covering our hours too.
And that's important to keep volunteers volunteering. Yeah.
I don't think that without paying people to be on call, it's a little bit different than the fire department. I don't think that without paying them that we would keep everybody on our crew. There's some that would keep doing it, but there's a large handful that I think that is what keeps them on there. It's a big commitment to be around that often.
So if you say 4, so that's $7,000, right? Have you allocated your extra 6,000 or so from the county? Does that go ways towards that, or
Yes, it would go towards it. So what we did the last couple of years was every 6 months so right now this out of the city money, the city pays for our weekend on-call coverage, and the county pays for our weekday and our weeknight. So every 6 months, the city pays us every month for our weekend time, and then every 6 months we do the county hours, so we turn it in. And if we don't use all that $26,500, we don't get it. So the county kind of likes it if we give them just a couple invoices, like, hey, here's what we spent. But if we don't use all that money, then it goes back into their general pot.
would it be better if we showed that it was used for EMT training, so that you don't not use some of it?
We won't have trouble using it. Last year, I think that we used right over 20,000 for just our on-call. So right now it's already looking like, just with our classes, we won't have trouble using the money. We probably won't use $26,000 for our on-call, but if we had that extra money, it would have been nice to be like, hey, we're actually going to bump up our on-call rates a little bit, but we won't have trouble using that $26,000. But yes, I think that can be used towards some of the EMT effects.
What kind of questions do you have? So we have this on the agenda to review. What part of it is to review?
So say you had 5 EMTs show up for a call. How many how many will get paid for the call?
Well, right now, we're paying whoever goes on the call. So sometimes, like when I do their hours, some of them are just helping on scene. So we do make a note of that there. Right now, I don't care if 5 people show up. Sometimes you need 5 people to show up just to kind of get people stabilized in the back of the ambulance. 5 people don't necessarily go on the call. So maybe a couple people are only getting paid for being there for 15 minutes. So we don't have a rule that only so many people can show up. When we have to have 1 driver and 1 EMT on call all the time. We like to have 2 EMTs and a driver just because you can't do a lot with 1 EMT. You're going to end up needing to page fire for extra help, or we still have to page fire for extra help now if it's really heavy lift, but you don't really want to be showing up somewhere in the middle of the night with just 1 driver and 1 EMT. You kind of want your friends with you.
Yeah.
And a lot of times just moving somebody, you need at least 3 people to get somebody positioned to move. 2 people, it's hard to do.
So will 2 EMTs go on the ambulance then?
A lot of times they will. Most of the time 2 will go. Sometimes during the day there's only 1 EMT going. Sometimes if you feel like the patient's pretty stable, someone will say, hey, you know what, you got it, you go, you already got him on the cot. Our cot, we have a nice automatic cot, so sometimes 2 don't go. I mean, I know that when I've been on before, I've said, hey, we don't both need to go. Now that we've got them tucked in here, there's nothing that 2 of us need to do. But you also have to write a report for every call you're on, so if 1 person can start working on your report while you're driving there and back, that helps. Otherwise, it does take you almost an hour to write your report, so 1 person can be working on that while you're driving too.
I know we were really close on wages last year.
Yeah, we were. And we had budgeted more this year, I think, right? Because last year when we had made the budget, I know that we didn't have a very good estimate because of things being not up to date. So I think that we did increase it some, but that does make a difference if you have only 1 driver and 1 EMT, or if your friends hop in with you and help, or if you're training more people coming in too. And wages are very expensive. Part of having
You get paid per call or per hour?
we get paid like per hour.
Per hour.
But not per hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the decisions that have to be made? We're really talking about
Just budgetary.
Budgetary. So how do we have the ambulance help us stay within the budget? That's what we're looking for first of all, right?
Are we under budget in other categories of our budget?
Your budget overall last year was really close, but it was okay. We do periodic checks, like quarterly, or see every couple of months, see how it's progressing.
So kind of started on paying for or not paying for EMT training. Currently, the process is that the city, you got ambulance budget to work from. And the dollars that the city pays for EMT training, that's part of that budget. Okay.
And until this fiscal year has been reimbursed to the city by the county.
Most of it, not all of it, most of it. And I did ask what other counties do, and I think that I asked Sioux County, and they do pay for their EMT classes. But each county is different. Like Sioux County doesn't get the pot of money, like their services don't all get a pot of money that we do. So it's just kind of how different towns and services work and what works for them, I guess, and what they need to do to have enough help.
At one time, though, didn't like your EMTs or your actual ambulance people pay for their own classes, and then didn't we start that up to have the city help pay? So you would get some volunteers?
As long as I have been on, so since I've been back, it's been the city would pay it with a 2-year commitment.
Okay, I knew there was something.
And prior to 2020, if you didn't pass your class, you had to reimburse the city for that cost.
I knew there was some kind of a...
However, that cost us quite a few volunteers. Because we had people that took the class and didn't pass, and then when Sandy started asking them to reimburse the money, they quit volunteering for the ambulance.
I got to pay all my.
The test is really hard, and it needs to be hard because you want people to know their stuff, but it's hard. I've talked to Orange City about it a little bit, like, hey, what can we do to help these people help pass their test? And they said it's not necessarily knowing the content, it's knowing how to test. It's a standardized test. And they said sometimes the testing is really tricky, so you just kind of have to know what they're asking. But even if...
The way the test works is it's all multiple choice. So 3 of these answers are correct. Which is the most correct answer?
Your triage, basically, that you're.
And it gets harder the more questions you get right.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's.
And just because you don't pass your test doesn't mean that, I don't think that, I think when the city was making them pay back, just because you don't pass the test doesn't mean you're not a good asset. Because if you haven't passed your test, you still have that EMT class knowledge, and if you're a driver, you can still be very helpful to us, even if you don't have your EMT certification, because you know about the equipment and you know what we need and you understand what we're needing versus somebody who only has taken the driving portion of it. So, do we want them to pass? Yes, because we want as many EMTs as we can, but they're still an asset even if they haven't passed their test.
So what about the 2-year then? Because that seems like a pretty.
Because that's.
It's an amount.
The 2-year, that's how long your certification is for. If you pass the test, before you have to redo. So 1 full registry period of being an EMT is the minimum.
But if they quit within, before the 2 years, then are they liable for paying it back then? I think that would probably be a pretty good thing.
That's in the contract.
Yeah, it's in the contract, and they just signed something with the city.
Oh, I thought you were saying that you got rid of that.
Previously,
Sorry.
whether they stayed on or not, if they didn't pass the test, they had to pay it back.
Now, if they stay for 2 years, they don't have to pay it back.
Even if they stay as like a driver.
Even that way.
Yeah, so then that counts
As long as they do something.
As long as they stay on it.
As long as they're on
for 2 years.
Okay, they don't have to take the class.
Yeah.
Whereas the drivers have to take the class?
They have to take a short, it takes 4 hours online.
Is it just 4 hours?
It's a long time. And then you have to
It's a
do
very long 4 hours.
and then you have to do 100 miles driving without a patient in there.
Yeah.
And
Then
then
you have to do an obstacle course with Kelly.
Huh.
He's got some course.
Yeah.
Kind of messy. Oh, dang, you did it.
So currently, it's the participant, the volunteer pays the city back for testing.
No, the
costs.
city gets billed.
Well, the city gets billed, but the contract between them and the city is that they don't stay on the ambulance crew for 2 hours.
2 years.
I'm sorry, for 2 years. Because they only pay it back.
Yep.
Not whether they pass or not.
Correct.
And I think that's a better way to put it.
So and that's what's the focus on. So if you like that, nothing has to be changed. But we just have to make sure that the budget gets managed closely.
And I guess, if we need to be more careful about, not letting as many people on, I get what you're saying, we can only let so many people take the class a year, but at the same time, it's a hard balance, because if someone's like, hey, I'm interested, I don't want to be like,
Yeah.
We'll take you beyond for a while, but you can't take the EMT test until next year.
right, and they could be, because we could have them be a driver. We could say, hey,
Yeah.
we'd like you to drive, we'd like you to get that under, and then next year we can have you take the test.
And they used to only offer the classes in the fall, so.
But now they offer multiple times throughout the year, and they offer a couple hybrid versions,
Yeah.
so I think
Where do you go now, Sheldon or where?
Sheldon.
sometimes there is one coming up in Sutherland this fall. They try and move them around because I know that was it in Remington last spring. They try and move them around just to get people, or Marcus, trying to get people to not have to drive. Like, hey, this town is short. We've got a handful of people who can instruct from here, so that people aren't having to go as much for classes.
So if council likes that setup, then maybe we just need to make sure we have help from the ambulance crew to help into the budget, so that that doesn't have to be Michelle's worry for you to manage your budget, those types of things.
So do we just need to be checking in probably like quarterly and seeing like, hey, this is how we are, how many classes we paid for? And unfortunately this year, because those two classes for those 2 we thought were gonna get paid for didn't, it kind of came right down to the end of June, and then they didn't pass their test, so they got bumped into.
But that's their rule, isn't it? They have to pass it.
That's the county's rule that we had to pass before, but, you know, we thought that those two were getting their class paid for, but now instead, we can't get reimbursed for that. Or it comes out of our pot of money.
26.
Yeah.
And only one of them is gonna sign the contract.
Oh, sure.
The other said she'd be in to do it. Now that the sister did it, she'll get in there.
Make sure she gets over here.
Yeah.
And I think that one day too, was the problem that there was like 5 people all there at one place, and only 3 went. Well, then does the city pay for those 2 people too, if they really didn't do anything? I'm hoping they don't book or bill the city then.
Who?
We're just saying that whenever there is an ambulance call, you don't need 5 or 6 people there. I know before you said it's nice to have help.
Sometimes we do need 5 or 6 people.
I know, but.
And sometimes we don't know.
And we don't know that until we get there.
There's a lot of times when you go to those calls, like she said, you get everything situated and then 2 people go on the trip and everybody else goes home.
So only the 2 people on that trip would have been paid.
Well,
And the driver.
we do pay the people that come to help respond to the scene, but they probably only getting paid for 15 minutes.
But as soon as the ambulance leaves without them,
They're not getting paid. We put our times down when we arrive and when we leave scene, so it's not very long that we're ever hopefully on scene before we're there and gone. I mean, if it is a budgeting issue, Lori had mentioned it at one point that only the people on call can come, but honestly, if it doesn't sound good, I'm happy when my friends show up. Like, hey, I'm glad you're here. Like, we got it now, you're good.
The reality is everything's a budgeting issue.
Right.
Yeah, or we don't get paid unless we're transporting people.
Oh, okay.
You know, that's how it used to be. You only got paid if you transported.
And we could change it back to that. We just haven't had to yet. It would be nice if we didn't have to do that.
Like you said, you gotta just keep track, you know.
And I don't think people would be upset. I think our crew members are just good about like, hey, and then like I'll go to see if they need a hand. And sometimes we do still need to pay the fire department because they're bigger and stronger than we are.
Some of us are really
There's
windy.
a lot of times the pager goes off and you can tell right away if you're gonna need extra help, just from what they say over the page. So then that's when, a lot of times you have a lot of people showing up, which is good.
We have neighboring towns that pager goes off and nobody shows up. So, we don't want that.
We don't wanna go back to where we used to be.
No.
You were very short-handed then. You attacked.
Yeah, it was not good.
Sounds to me like you have a pretty good handle on managing the EMTs and the drivers. Just sounds like you need to keep a closer eye on your budgeted money, maybe more on a regular basis, like Michelle was suggesting. I think everything will be just fine.
And I don't think we're losing the city money at this point, are we? Like, I mean, you know, what we have budgeted or something coming in, I think that we're going on more, yes, we're more expensive, our wages are more expensive, but we also go on more calls than we were a few years ago.
Plus that 26 was a nice little plus.
And we're also going on calls for our neighboring communities. They don't have people to respond.
Which we've started sending them a bill.
But
Yeah.
then you said that was,
Yeah.
or somebody said that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, that's $300 back in
So we set that all up. So
back
that was
into the
good.
pot every time they call us out. So, regardless of if we
And you
transport or not.
on that too.
Yeah.
That's good.
So,
Does that answer questions for now? Keep bringing it up as you have issues and concerns with those.
Do you, I think our only other thing that we're at the end there too is updates. We wanted to thank Marlon for, he kicked back some of his salary that he was paid, but he donated some of that back to the ambulance, so we greatly appreciate that as well, so. Yeah.
Greatly appreciated.
That's split of my account over the year between the ambulance, fire, and regional.
Any other questions for us? Oh, I did have one more question. Alex in the city office expressed interest in joining the ambulance. And I think you guys were going to discuss if she could leave during working hours for you guys. Is that on your
We
desk?
don't have on this agenda, so
Sure.
we'll have to have it on the next meeting.
Okay, sure.
That's the big concern as far as regarding the start person that was.
That you have regular.
Their experience was that person was out of office half the day,
Oh.
half the time.
Of course, Primgar, to be fair, Primgar did a lot of transfers to Sioux City.
You don't do transfers.
And that is 2.5 hours gone minimum.
Sure.
We don't do that.
So that was
Yeah.
the question that came up with this right away. It's like, right now, we don't seem to be overstaffed. In the
Right.
office, you know, for none of those people out at all, let alone.
Right. Yeah, and I would say that on average, I could look too, but on average, I would say that we're only gone for anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. I mean, and sometimes, like you were saying, it might just be nice to have someone extra hands to help load, and maybe wouldn't have to necessarily go on the transfer either. But and you guys can discuss it if you have access, but we would
So
greatly
with
appreciate.
Primgar closing, where are you going to be bringing people?
We would probably go to.
Most of the time we go to one city.
Yeah.
So that will, with them
It's-
closing, that will change.
No.
I would say
it's
75%
very
of the time we were probably going to Orange City anyways. We were bringing a few different guard, but
And some of Cherokee,
sometimes the Cherokee. Occasional one to Sheldon.
not very often show up with all those kind of events.
We might see a few more to Cherokee with Mercy
Just because
closing.
over there, a lot of the people doctor in Cherokee.
Yeah. So,
And we're closer to Cherokee once we go to Sutherland or, I mean, a lot of those
yep,
towns.
Calumet.
During the daytime though, like for example, Sherry, she was working for Primgar. She was in town and able to kind of pop over and help sometimes, but that will take some of our daytime help out of town, which I mean, it's out of our control, but that is the time that would be nice when it's like Alex is available to help us during the day so too.
Because Laura has days where she's on the register and can't respond. I'm in the office 2 days a week. My boss has kindly allowed me to respond on the other 3 days.
And currently, like right now, I'm basically the driver during the
During the
day.
day. Which we really appreciate.
You're our favorite. You're our favorite driver.
Oh, you're the favorite.
All right, I think that's all I have.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your service.
Yes.
Okay, let's go back up to agenda item, follow-up on things. So you'll just keep us posted as you see concerns, issues, etc. Item number 8.
We weren't able to make it.
Oh, okay. So 8, we'll, I guess, go to another meeting, give it a follow-up with it, since you're there.
Do you need anything right or not?
I think it was a very legitimate interest.
Maureen?
I don't know how that works.
So the baby won't have a name out of that.
Just wait
Maybe
until-
not yet until they're actually done.
Set up another time.
Maybe what we should do, just, just if people want to make a proposal, then if we get their commitment, we get their commitment that they don't put the word out, attach it to the agenda and stuff like that. Okay. We're on item number 8. Item number 9 Divine Mercy Clinic lease. We got a request from them at the last meeting to terminate their lease early. And that was at the end of, instead of, they said their lease is through the end of the year commitment, and they wanted to not pay for November and December, right? So you
Says 45 days.
Yes. Right
45
there.
days, very back page on that paragraph, that says about if the services are not going to be
But if
your premises.
But the landlord shall have the option to terminate this. So.
So they're really committed for 45 days.
Right, that's what I'm saying. They've got 45 days and they're done the end of September. They told us they were staying till November, was it?
So they said that, so services on one side, that's what we said we wanted to tie into services.
Right.
Or we could terminate the lease, maybe half the term.
Right.
So they're leaving, they're saying that committed, the lease commitment to the end of the year, they only want to pay to the end of October. It's the lease.
That's only 30 days. So we could have another 15 days.
That's it. October, all November, December.
Yeah, but if we go to 45 and there's no services, it could be September 30th. I'm going to go with November then. And they were saying the first of them, right?
Or we could just say you're committed to the end of the year, like they said they were. This allows.
Oh, I didn't know we could do that because that's on here for the 45.
But if you would read that last sentence, it says that we have the option to terminate that.
But it's a potential lease. So we could say, well, you're gonna do it next 10 years. It's a potential. But I would think that there's a bit smart as far as making the people in the year. Especially with $500 for
I saw that too,
Right.
back in
1990.
1990. Yes, $500. It's like, and it never was increased.
That's what I would.
No.
That's the end of the year.
No.
Yeah.
December 31st.
There's no real termination clause in here.
No.
That we as the leaseor can say what that is. Then I don't think we have to do the 45 days or anything.
No.
Just do the end of the year and that's it. Let them know that that's important.
It's indefinite as long as they're offering medical service
Right.
to the hospital, which they won't.
Right. That's true.
If we would get somebody else, then I'd be tied to them.
In the hospital, no.
No, somebody else to take over our building
Before the first, or before
before
the
the
end of the year.
December. And then we're still in Mercy. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I know physical therapy are interested if they get somebody to take over them. The girls, they'd like to come this way. Because, you know, there's a building. So that's included too, and we're back in Mercy.
Because you should have had the cities
Right.
be there.
Can you put something on there that you have to pay until the end of the year unless another tenant is interested?
That might be a thought.
Or we pay for the end of the year unless we, in that time frame, choose differently, but let them out early at a later date. And then they can come back and say, we don't agree with how early.
They could play that card too.
They could, but I think if someone was trying to come in, they would be able to, hopefully would be a little bit flexible.
Really, in the grand scheme of things, what's it, really, what's it gonna hurt if we let them out of the lease now?
$500 a month.
Yeah, $1,000.
Pays for half of an EMT training,
That was
which
just
we
interesting.
talk about.
Yeah.
Well,
we
you
don't need to-
gotta have your legal counsel involved too, so there's
Right.
dollars.
acknowledges up there.
So my suggestion for changing that section to, what Michelle said about equipment, as long as wait for them to say, yeah, we have all our equipment, how do we make it, like they do, or still make it clean.
Yes, because you know,
That's
so
like
you can
you
see
said,
some
so that's probably how they figure it.
I think that's a good idea.
Somebody wanna make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Let's see, you had it all out there.
That upon whoever they're called, Mercy One informs us that all medical equipment has been dispatched from the building. To start with a 45-day notice.
So basically, you're saying we would approve termination of the lease at 45 days after notification of renewal of equipment.
Yeah, there you go, yeah. I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussion?
Are we gonna post anything for rent for sale or anything like that? 'Cause I saw you can do that within 90 days. If you look on the,
Oh, so basically, that would be a separate topic, right?
Yeah.
How best to market it. So these things, you know,
What was the name of the business?
if you look on the 139, 17B, it's just to post rent for sale that you can do that.
Oh, okay.
Because maybe people don't know
I didn't see
that the city owns it.
Get the word out there, right?
Right, I did too. No, I seen the last one, but I didn't see this one.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve termination of the lease as noted. Any other questions, discussion on that?
Is that, so this would, the termination of the lease would begin the 45 days after their equipment comes out of the building.
Right.
That's the way I understand it.
That's what I understood.
Yep.
Okay.
And does that have to go to legal counsel to make sure it aligns with the lease?
They want out of the lease as soon as possible. I don't think it's, I mean, we can run it by, but I think
Probably just.
it's not a contentious issue, I wouldn't think, but.
Yeah,
Just
I need to just be a letter back to them saying
I
this is
do.
what we're
Yeah.
looking to do
This
as
is what we're thinking.
landlord.
Made our motion.
Yep.
This is what we'll do.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Do you have any questions?
them, huh?
I mean, I
Get it
still
out.
think it'd be good to run it
Yeah.
by legal counsel, but just informally.
Yeah, we can run it by her.
And she looked at it in there,
She's looked at
She's
the
seen it.
lease.
Yeah, I got the lease from Tisha.
She had it to get to.
Oh, okay, okay.
What you have attached here is what came from Tisha just recently,
Okay.
but I don't know how close she looked before.
I sent her the letter and the lease just here recently, and,
Okay.
and she has
So-
to respond.
well, I didn't really have much of a question other than
Okay.
early termination,
Okay.
but she didn't get back to that question, but it was just recently.
Okay.
So are you okay with your motion, or do you wanna add in there, subject to,
No.
you're okay with the
Yeah.
motion? Okay. Ready to vote? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye. Carried. All right, item number 11. So current caps program. Do we have something like this?
Yeah, on the back of the resolution to approve the change order from Keene contract is, a little bit about the scheduling for the CAPS program. She wrote it down on a piece of paper that's in your packet.
That one?
112.
Gotcha.
I wanted something a little bit better than scribbles, so we had something to refer back to. And now it's on here. On the back.
Oh, I didn't have another one.
It was laying on your desk.
Oh, okay.
Those papers. Flip it over.
That's not the right one. Here it is.
There you go.
Okay. And when are they starting, or do we have a start date?
They've started.
They have started already, okay. I didn't know if they started when the school started or when they were,
Yeah. We told them they could start.
okay. Yeah, I just didn't remember if they were immediately or not. I couldn't remember what she said.
So I'll make a motion to approve the CAPS program to utilize the Maru for the fall 2024 semester.
I'll second that.
Any other questions or discussion? Steve had a question I've had the last meeting. We don't charge them for this. But any other discussion?
And if there's, if I remember right, if there was a conflict, they could change their schedule, so they could.
And I asked, we asked them to, for the elections. We let them know the
Oh,
elections. are
okay.
coming. Mhm.
Yeah.
Good thought.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're ready to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye. Carried. Item number 12, Northwest Iowa Power Cooperative, a resolution to set a public hearing for assignment of the easement. So this is just setting a public hearing and a date. Do we have a recommended date? Who's this? Do we have a resolution for that?
Everything should be in here.
14? On 14?
Let's get that back again. So I would entertain a motion to approve this resolution. Would anybody like to make that motion?
I'll make a motion to approve a resolution to set the public hearing on proposal for an assignment of easement to Northwest Iowa Power Cooperative.
And, probably the date,
Left it blank.
is that?
She left it blank for us to sign on. Okay.
What kind of date do we need in there? That should be part of the.
No, she left it blank so we could fill it in, so we could discuss what day we wanted that public
And
hearing.
usually we make a resolution, we motion, make a motion, pass resolution, and then second it, and then discuss it.
This is everything I got from Tisha.
Well, we could fill it in now
Yeah.
and just,
Exactly.
she can amend her.
Yep,
Yeah.
okay, what day do we want it to be? I don't know anything about this one. to
Yeah,
tell
so
you
what
the
are they
truth.
doing?
Our switch for our transmission line is like 4.5 miles out of town, and our switch is currently in the middle of a section. So NIPCO is willing to pay to have the switch moved to the road, and then they would just take over that 1/2 mile of line and rebuild it, and it's gonna be a double circuit, so they can feed it from both ways.
And what's that costing us?
0.
Right.
We just, all we need to do is,
Tell them when they can do
give the
it.
easement and, yeah.
And that's what, 4 miles east?
Yeah, it's like, I think it's, 4.5 miles or,
Where the Aldens used to live, I don't know if you're familiar with them. Aldens, ULDEN.
No, I mean, I know them and I remember.
Yeah.
I didn't know they lived out in the country. I didn't know where they were.
Okay.
I remember when they built their house in town.
So we were granted an easement, and I presume our easement allows us to grant it to somebody else that's been,
Yep, and,
because this is from Tisha.
yeah, but he has talked to the guy that owns the land, and he's fine with,
Thing is with this particular easement that was taken, I'm paralleling my pipeline experience to electrical, but if you read where they, we're on the front page of the right of way agreement.
On 16.
Yes.
Okay.
It says, an electric transmission and or distribution line. Now, the key word there is and, which means one. In the pipeline work where we had a pipeline, then we have to go in and secure the right again. Put another pipeline in. So I'm assuming that that may be this here, I don't know, that's for legal counsel. And you kind of muddy the water a little bit there, Kelly, with what they're doing. I thought they would be putting in another line, but basically, are they reconstructing or?
they're
recreating?
rebuilding the line that's there.
Okay, but it's an upgrade, right? It's not,
Yep. It's an
Okay.
upgrade.
I'm just saying that that might be something we want the legal counsel to determine whether we actually have the right to do that. Do you understand what I'm saying? But if it's kind of, if it's kind of, it's still a single line though, right?
Yep, it's just, yeah, it'll be able to be fed, like, if something happens on this side of the line, they can throw a switch and it'll get fed from the other way to feed down.
Right. So I don't know, that might be a question quickly we wanna run by Tisha just to make sure that.
But I will tell you, this guy has been waiting for
Months.
like a long time.
No, not us, right?
Can we just get like the okay from, like written okay from the landowner then? Or who owns this now?
Right, Venture you're talking about?
Mm-hmm. Cause you said that the person who owns this now is fine with having it done, correct?
Well, I mean, we still have the easement. I guess,
Yeah.
So you said that he's been waiting for 6 months, this is the first I've heard of it. And so
Yeah.
what has been the holdup till now?
trying to find documents from
Oh, what the actual first part?
1974. Trying to get, yeah.
Okay.
Courthouse can come up with it for you, or?
Tisha was working on it.
Yeah, Tisha was working on it, so.
The other thing that I noticed, we should get an affidavit from NIPCO that this guy can sign for him. I know when I was with Enron, I had to sign a piece of paper that I could sign documents. So, and then is it NIPCO or is it Northwest Iowa Power Cooperative? Cause he scribbled NIPCO. I'm looking at
What page are you on?
page 21. So to me, to make the
Oh, there we go.
document good document, we need an affidavit that we can sign for NIPCO, and that if he wants NIPCO there, it should be NIPCO instead of Northwest Iowa Power Cooperative. And that would be the same way on page 20, should be NIPCO. So sorry to say, but a couple things to look into.
I guess this is why the date was left blank for the public hearing.
Mm-hmm.
These are like 10-minute things, so hopefully we can blast it through legal and give this to them, so.
Get it done.
Yeah.
Sorry, Karen.
So we won't be able to, set a public hearing until the next council
We
meeting.
have it all looked at to make sure it's all okay. All the sheets.
Well, soon can we have that public hearing then? It could be,
It's been at least 4 days.
4 days?
It would go in the paper on a Saturday, so it could be as soon as 4 days after Saturday. And then it's not business days, it's calendar days.
You don't, but you can't tell the first one.
Right, so it'll be Saturdays and Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, be observed as Wednesday.
Okay.
If we act on it tonight, but whenever we acted on it, it can be as early as a Wednesday following to Saturday. Okay, so we're a little out of order, Gene, because we let,
So do I.
I let you make a motion, we don't have a second yet, but we're discussing it.
Do I need to rescind it or not?
It just fails for a second if
Okay.
you don't, but. So, we're going to, unless somebody wants to make a motion to delay this agenda item to the next meeting after city attorney review.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a motion on the table, so therefore there's no motion to table.
No. I was just more thinking an action to reset this agenda item, which doesn't have to really be done.
Right.
So,
Just move along.
so we'll just move this to the next meeting, but didn't get a second on the motion.
Move it all to the
And we got some questions on the city attorney side.
So Gene's motion presenting the resolution
We didn't get a second.
Fails.
failed. Okay.
So I suppose technically we have to note that in the minutes.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yep.
Yeah. And then we're gonna give it to the attorney, right? I think they check everything.
Okay. Item number 13, resolution to close roads for homecoming parade.
What date's homecoming?
September 13th.
What?
September 13th.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to the resolution to close roads for homecoming parade.
I'll second.
You want to read the resolution?
Page 26.
Be it resolved by the council of the city of Paullina, Iowa, to approve closing streets from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for the homecoming parade being held on September 13th, 2024.
The streets are noted in the resolution.
All taken care of.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll
I
second.
did.
Well, you did it, right, didn't you? Mm-hmm.
Who was that, Junior? Any discussion? Hearing none, I've seen ready to vote, all in favor of, the roll call.
Roll call.
Yeah, I caught myself on that.
Steve Herron,
Aye.
Carol Lundkamp.
Aye.
Nicole Jacobs.
Aye.
Gina Brown.
Aye.
Denny Workmeister.
Aye.
All ayes. Okay, item number 14. Looking for a motion to approve seeking bids to demolish the structure at 430 South Main Street.
I'll make a motion to approve to seek bids to demolish the structure at 430 South Main Street in Paullina, Iowa.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
I need background, I've not heard of it, so,
This is the Shriver property.
Right by the church,
yeah.
went to court, what day was that?
Last Tuesday.
In the city, it's the city, it will be the city's property.
Okay. And why are we demoing it?
It is not.
It's uninhabitable.
If you'd like to go in there with me tomorrow, I will take you on a tour.
Okay.
You don't wanna live there. Hopefully somebody will.
I've seen some good ones in my day.
I'm sure you have.
That'd be your business, that's right.
Question that I have, would be, is it in the budget, and do we need to demo it if it's not right away? Cause you're looking at about 10 grand probably, right?
We've received one bid and it's less than that.
Okay.
And I talked to another guy and it was gonna be less than 10 too, so.
it needs to be demoed. The house sits, I mean, the ceilings
It
is
just
caved
looks so
in,
bad.
it's wet inside, it's musty, it's just not good. The neighbors around the house we've received numerous complaints. The city guys are taking care of it. They're mowing, they have to clean it up. This has been going on for
A long
a year.
time. Are there still like mowers and cars and everything sitting outside?
The car disappeared like a couple days after court.
Oh, it was drivable, maybe, huh?
No, I don't think it was right.
I don't think so either. All the way, huh? Well, it needs to get done. Can we salvage any of that stuff to sell it for money?
There's really nothing else.
Nothing else salvageable there.
So this is just a motion to approve seeking bids, but obviously we want to be serious about doing it if we're going to seek bids.
Right.
As we do that with bids, where would we charge to cover this in the budget? I think that's your question, right?
I'd have to look back and see how the Johnson property was budgeted, to see where,
How was
The Johnson
property handled as far as where the costs of demo were?
I don't know what it was put on our line item, but I thought it was close to 20. Or where was it budgeted? I have no idea. Yeah, but I said I have no idea.
This one will be a lot less
Yeah.
cleaned up. It's on a slab, it doesn't have
Not-
basement.
It's not valuable when they did it.
and there's a hole in the roof, there's windows missing,
The ceilings,
the ceilings are caved in.
What about backyard, specifically the northwest corner, where you dirt and stuff all the time? You have a concern at all there?
no.
I think, yeah, northwest corner, where you dirt.
But we do have possession of it currently, or?
Well,
It was,
It will be.
it will be, we're just
just
waiting
wait
for
for
the
the
title.
paperwork.
And then the abatement of taxes.
Been working on it a while.
And some of the neighbors even pick up their
Yeah.
junk, yeah. Cause it's been an eyesore.
How long has this been on our plate that we maybe should have known what was going on here?
Didn't do anything for
Probably-
quite a while, until, because it was abandoned, that's what they had to wait.
But
till
we
they
filed
got
a
back.
nuisance against the property, correct?
Yeah, legal nuisance in the property. That was the previous council,
That was
that
previous
this would
council.
carry
Oh.
over from the previous council.
Okay,
This has been going on for a while.
okay.
She passed away, it'll be 2 years in December, right?
Yeah, December for sure.
Okay, so we have a motion and second on the table. Do we have any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I assume we're ready to vote on the motion to approve seeking bids. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye. Carried.
Think about what we're gonna do with it after that.
He's a nice sized lot.
Yeah.
It's a nice location.
Nice looking, it is. For sure.
Okay. King Construction, let's see, I think when I asked for approval of the agenda, we changed that to discuss, right?
There's a resolution to approve the change order.
Right, but I'm talking about being, I'm talking about all of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And she used the discussion, yeah.
Okay, so, okay, so 15A, I would entertain a motion to approve the resolution to approve King Construction change order.
That would have been sitting on the table when everyone arrived.
So, did I figure out on how, what motion this on?
Got a motion. motion if anybody so chooses.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for King Construction change order for blower installation. So I just need to read the be it resolved, that one, is that the one that you? Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Paullina to approve and authorize the proposed change order between City of Paullina and King Contracting LLC for an additional $41,815.24 for the installation of blowers and electrical connections, bringing new contract total to $476,591.74.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Please.
Carol, what's on the back of your caps?
Okay, all on this one?
Okay.
Discussion, Debbie, your question.
Well, I was just wondering if it was ever figured out why this happened or what.
I did get an email
Okay,
from
I talked to him.
Landon,
okay,
that's
good.
kind of what he said. Okay, so Landon said he had some discussion with Ben, who was then another engineer, as to why the blower installation was not included as part of the original contract. He had mentioned that the original blowers were still kept in place back when the project was first being developed. However, one of the blowers had failed after that point, so the city then reordered new. It was the assumption that the new blowers were to be delivered and installed before the project was to take place. With a long lead time on delivery resulting in the blowers arriving around the same time as the project, it was then decided to have King Construction perform the installation.
And that's why we ordered the motors when we did, because when we talked to them, it was gonna be, there was a long lead time to get them.
The only thing I would say is, communication.
Right.
And so we're.
And when I talked to Ben, he said, most definitely the right questions were asked and, yeah,
Okay.
so we got,
I guess that goes both ways, we need to be responsible.
Yep.
To ask questions too, so.
yep.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions or discussion on the motion to approve the resolution? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Denny Workmeister,
Aye.
Gina Brown,
Aye.
Nicole Jacobs,
Aye.
Carol Longcomp,
Aye.
Steve Herron.
Aye.
That's for all ayes. G. Okay, so 15B, that's not an action item yet at this point in time, but ongoing discussion of sludge removal. Where are we at with that?
Regardless, it won't be done till after crops are out. But we did get a,
The sludge removal, it would be $154,000.
and that's for cell one.
So,
Thinking outside the box, don't laugh at me, by the way. Can the other cells, ponds, whatever we call them, can they be configured where we wouldn't need cell one till next year? Or- 'cause
I mean, at the end of the day-
If we can delay it,
I mean, at the end of the day, we can do this 4 years from now, 5 years from now, you know, it doesn't,
so we're looking at it more or less because we have a contractor on site that can do the work.
I mean, the whole reason this came up is because we emptied cells 1, 2, and 3, and cell 1 is full.
Which is the primary one, right?
Yep, that's where everything comes in first. So that's where you're gonna get all your sludge buildup, because that's where, you know.
So is there a possibility we could do that and delay the project, or?
I'm not, I mean, just like anything else, I feel like prices are gonna go up, and
But I don't think we got an extra $150,000 around anywhere either, so.
what did Primgar pay for theirs?
Primgar paid over $400,000 just to get them cleaned out. That wasn't application or anything else.
Do they have theirs all done yet or no?
Yeah.
They're done.
Is that because they have bigger cells, or?
think they have 2 cells, I believe, and they were both pretty full, and, yeah.
That'd be clean.
Part of it was they have a truck washout or something like that there, didn't that cause some of the fill issues?
Possibly, yeah. But I mean, ours haven't been touched since, what I was told, the 70s, maybe?
So
When they redid everything.
It's too bad they didn't, though, actually put that in the bid, thinking it would possibly leak. That would constantly keep up,
No,
coming
I
up
mean,
with stuff.
that's not what we were hiring them for either, I guess.
Well, yeah, but when you're doing that, they know that's slightly possible.
So remind me where the aeration is going, which cells?
1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, all 3 of them.
Yep.
So if we waited, say, till next fiscal year, so that'd be July of 25, what do you guesstimate the increase would be 20% with contractor move in and move out and higher costs?
Probably, and I mean, that's not saying that, yeah, these guys will even bid it again if they're
Yeah.
busy, you know,
Yeah.
and,
Well, I would think about any contractor could do that work, I think.
You just gotta get them back.
Yeah, there'd be move in, move out, I'm sure.
Yeah, you know, if we did that, then we could budget for it.
Even if it was 20%,
Even if it was 20%. Yeah.
Be nice not to keep kicking the can.
Yeah.
because I feel like there's a lot of things that have been kicked to the wayside for many, many, many years.
That's the problem.
And it's
Yeah,
all-
we're having this issue.
It's
Yeah,
all
so
coming
many
to a
things
head now.
And
that haven't done.
I'm not kicking the can, I'm trying to come up with a proposal that'll
Right.
get us there.
Right. Pay for it.
Michelle, I mean, 150,000 is big money for us right
I do think we need to sit down though, and we need to discuss what is all going to be paid with what, and what, we haven't done that yet. So we keep on talking about all of this stuff, but nothing
That was
is being
considered to be on
decided.
the budget right now, but Michelle, with our new treasurer Maureen, knows a lot about that, the fund and stuff like that, so they're gonna.
They get together and have it all figured out and hopefully just present it to you guys with it,
Okay.
with it all figured out.
So we wanna just table this and.
So this one is just a discussion.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
We wanted to make sure
All right.
everybody was on
Yeah.
the same page as far as the cost of 154, and that they can factor that into what they're looking through and. yeah.
Now, were you talking about some bug that could, is that, you were,
There-
right?
We have been treating our 3 cells with their bugs, and that's oxygen we put in the lagoon. But I talked to, I mean, that takes years and years and years to get it to go down.
Hmm.
And a lot of the stuff on the outside doesn't get, the bugs don't really work that well on the outside, but.
So that's better for cells 3, 4, 5 than for 1, probably you're saying.
That stuff is better for when
It's clean.
you clean and then you just maintain.
And, yeah, wouldn't it be accurate to say it's more to slow the progression of the fill rather than stop it?
Right.
Or clean it up.
Or clean it.
Right.
And when he says bug, it's a slang for it's a good bacteria in powder form or granule form, would you say?
Yep.
And it physically gets put into the water, and then it starts eating other bacteria, and it grows, and it feeds off of that.
Oh, it's not all just
So it's
bugs.
not an actual
Not a
bug.
little-
Not a real bug.
I know, I was
Actual
like.
It's bacteria. It's
It's-
like-
it's-
Yeah.
it's a good bacteria. Yep.
Okay,
All right.
so that's what you want to get on this.
Yeah, I think we'll probably reach back out to Landon and probably not have a change order made right away.
Yeah, just tell them to, they're checking all the dollars out first.
Did Marie say when she was gonna?
We're meeting, we're gonna meet Thursday,
Okay.
but, see how much we can
I
get
say
done.
that's gonna be a few hours too.
Well, and we still have, you know, August financials when we start.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
She'll be good with you.
Yeah.
Okay, item number 16, waste disposal contract. Michelle, bring everybody up to speed on where we're at.
We got a year contract
From existing contract, right?
from Town and Country, and that is, the resolution was left on the table. The contract's included in the packet. It's a really long contract. Tisha didn't see any problems moving forward with it.
You like it this time?
We can go out to bid, we'd have to give them 6 months' notice. If we decided we wanted to go out to bid and go to different, get bids from different companies.
So that'll probably be your plan, right?
Probably.
So that would have to be by the first of the year.
Mhm.
So I thought we were working with a 2-page agreement that was in our packet.
That was a 4-page agreement, and when we decided to go with the year,
Yeah.
Josh didn't have authorization to do a 4-year contract. What he did is he just went into the old, or not a 4-year contract, 4-page contract. He went into the old contract and just changed some dates and the amounts. But when we came back and asked for a year contract, that had to be taken up back at the corporate level. And they had to do it the long version again.
16 pages.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
That concerns me when they were down to 4 now.
Well, that was Josh that did that, and he was,
That was good.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I still don't like it, but if we can do it for 1 year, I guess I can live with it, but there's some stuff in there that pretty
It's long.
pretty onerous.
Yeah. Well, it's just, we need to get something done. Decided.
We need to get done, and then we need to figure out what we wanna do with bidding out, and then do that
Yeah, right.
on a timely basis versus last minute, like this.
June 30th.
Probably should have started now. Honestly.
Well, either that or after the 1st.
So then Town and Country is promoting this 1-year contract.
I
and we
asked
asked for that.
I asked
We asked for that.
And then you got the okay, but if that's what the longer contract.
It was originally that longer agreement. That was the
Yes.
original agreement.
For 5 years.
Mm-hmm. And then, it was taking Tisha a while to go through it. She had some issues with it.
Yeah.
And then Josh said, well, I'll give you the 4-page one. And then when I asked for a year contract, he said, well, then I can't give you the 4-page one, cause he couldn't authorize a 1-year contract.
Right.
He had to take it further, and then we get the big contract again.
Tisha looked at the current 1-year big contract and is fine with it for a year.
The one that we got in
The
our.
one that we have right now.
Okay.
Oh, she's looking over it now.
Yes.
Oh, okay. 20 pages.
Right.
Okay. You didn't see anything with this.
So that's how we got to where we're at right now. 16B is a resolution to approve this Town and Country 1-year contract. So I would entertain a motion to approve that resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve it. Resolution, you want me to read it?
Sure.
Resolution to approve the exclusive franchise agreement made and entered into as of August 1st of 2024 by and between Waste Connections of Iowa Incorporated, doing business as Town and Country Disposal, the service provider, and the City of Paullina, Iowa, the city. Contract term July 1st, 24 through June 30th of 25.
We've got a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion or questions?
I didn't catch it, Carol.
Oh, July 1st of 24 through June 30th of 25.
Basically, like this.
That's fiscal year, yeah, because we just,
Yeah.
lengthened the talking time.
So, any other questions, discussion? Don't want to rush you.
You feel okay with it?
We just need a back pay then, right?
That made a difference.
Yeah, you pay them for the monthly, but just now they're new charges.
As an ingredient.
Yep.
Okay, hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Roll call, please.
Steve Herron,
Aye.
Carol Hunkell.
Aye.
Nicole Jacobs.
Aye.
Gina Ralph.
Aye.
Any more questions?
Aye.
Motion, the resolution passes. Okay. Item number 17. I would entertain a motion to approve the third reading for the garbage rate ordinance amendment.
I'll make a motion to approve the third reading for the garbage rate ordinance amendment.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any other discussion on reading? Hearing none, I assume we're ready to vote, so all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye. Okay. Item number 18, A, same thing for sewer rates. I would entertain a motion to approve the third reading for the sewer rate ordinance amendment.
I'll make a motion to approve the third reading for sewer rate ordinance amendment.
Motion with a second.
I will second it.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye. Carried. Item 19, entertain a motion for approval of the third reading for the electric rate ordinance amendment.
I'll make a motion to approve the third reading. The
Motion
electric
with
rate ordinance amendment.
a second.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye. Carried. And 20, entertain a motion to approve the third reading for the water rate ordinance amendment.
I'll make a motion to approve the third reading for the water rate ordinance amendment.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye. Carried. All right. Thanks. Reports, Kelly, Superintendent, Utilities.
Well, we worked pretty hard on getting as much electric done as we could. We got Mamie Street, underground and switched over. We got Groesbeck, all the underground switched over, and a lot of that, the, wire and whatnot tore down. That's what we've been doing.
Do we have to level that out on Main Street then?
I didn't go check on it, but Trent was there today, this afternoon working on it. I think he,
I was walking earlier this morning, so.
yeah, I think he got it seeded and leveled out.
I saw him go buy a skid loader and seed spreader,
Oh.
so, but I never know where he's going for sure.
That's where he was going.
Oh, that looked nice.
So that took a lot of work. Rocks. We're only gonna get rid of the rest of our rocks and start to get questions that have last,
Oh,
what,
me
6 weeks?
too. The rocks on Main Street, I
Well,
have,
we just got the new part 10, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, and they got put in last week, so we can start running the sweeper again this week.
Now, are they coming back to do anything on those rocks or not? Not at all. We do it.
Yep.
Are they paying us now?
And we're storing those, I mean, not really storing them, but
I did talk to him about those rocks, and, I mean, if we get him to do some more streets for us next year, he will buy that rock back from us.
Oh.
What we don't use, we do use a lot of that rock for electrical, like, when we put boxes in, we put that in the bottom for the basement,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, we use it for some stuff, but we do have quite a pile there.
Yeah, if we could stay on top of that, it'd be nice to get those done.
Right.
I do plan on starting doing a few, alley approaches here.
Okay. What's the status of the closed Willow Street at the school?
They're pouring tomorrow, morning at 9:30.
Do they know that they're really not supposed to, no, take it really out of there, do they know that they're not supposed to close streets for several days at a time?
When I talked to him today and let him know, but when I talked to him Friday, they said half the street was gonna be closed, and then I went to the game and the whole street was closed, so, yeah.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, a week, basically.
And how long will they have to let it cure?
I mean, yeah. We,
If they didn't pour road mix, then it's gonna be a longer cure time.
And isn't that something that a street closure like that, isn't that something that the city council is supposed to?
Only the city council can close streets.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that should have been presented to us and.
Should have been, we could find them, we got.
You know, was there anything about doing that in the building permit or whatever?
Did they, anything in the no, it wasn't in the permit. What I was thinking about is, it wasn't even in the plans. I mean, obviously they need to get across there, so like, what they planned on.
Permit doesn't ask, it doesn't, not very specific, so that's not really much of a leg to stand on.
No. No, it isn't.
But I mean, this was a key part of my report. When we have some type of closure like that, kind of be really nice for emergency services to be alerted, because I had no idea, and I pull up to the game and like, this is a hot mess to start with, and now you just closed. I mean, we've had numerous discussions of that's our main artery to the southwest corner of
The
town.
problem with this one, they didn't even notify the city, you know,
I mean, I think, is there any type of civil infraction?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that'd be
because
for the.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
That's what I'm saying, the civil infraction would be the fine them and, you know.
The money's not gonna hurt them, so I think just for being a nuisance to us, we need to file a civil infraction with them. That's just me.
We could put that on the next meeting agenda to talk about, at a minimum, send a strong warning, reprimand.
We start working on some of the other streets.
Well, the city really should know about it, because that way we could have at least notified truck route closure, you know, things like that. I saw some trucks.
I mean, that's a designated truck route.
Yeah, like you said,
That is the
notify
truck route.
the EMS and everybody, yeah.
You know,
So since we're on the topic, was the crossing thing in the permit or the plan, or the pedestrian crosswalk, all the signs and lighting they're putting in?
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, where's that?
From the
crosswalk.
From the football
field
field to the
Oh.
school.
It's pretty much gonna be like what they have in Orange City by the college.
Okay, oh, okay, Little Buddington, okay.
Which is, I mean, it's a nice thing, it's just that, like, we drove down there before the street got closed, it's like, oh, I didn't know they were doing that.
Should they have a building permit for that?
What's that?
Should they have some type of a permit for that?
They didn't lay out a lot of clarity in hindsight on the permit. It was very clear in their plans, if you look back at their plans. And then they got a permit to do their whole layout and structure
Okay.
there, so.
And, I mean, it's, an intersection technically is pedestrian right of way anyway, all they're doing is lighting and signing it, so, I mean, it's not like they're adding a crosswalk, so to speak, like in a big street or something.
Yeah, so basically, I think it's all safety
Yeah.
based, so.
I did order a bunch of mile per hour signs. We haven't received them yet, but we'll get with Nate and see the best places to put what we got.
And those we could just do without any further action, because the council, previous council had already set the speed limits in town. This is just signing those speed limits better.
Oh, okay.
How do we better police, Jake brakes, exhaust brakes? You know, we've got a post on the edges of town, but like nobody follows it.
I've observed several times, they'll Jake brake right till they hit the sign and then they'll stop, you know, so.
Yeah, well, that works, but they don't always stop, you know, but.
The last sheriff had a very great explanation. Mr. Alan Schutnick did. He pretty much made it straight out to the county board of supervisors that, we had better things to police than take breaks.
Well, because, yeah, technically, there's a county ordinance anywhere within a mile of any town in the county gets
There's a salary.
prohibited.
Sure.
Yeah, I can do.
So,
Really, you think that's what I'm gonna do now?
Okay.
and I mean, just to cut Nate some slack too, I mean, there's better things for Nate to do than.
And yeah, I mean, it just comes down to having enough people to just sit there waiting and watching.
It just popped in my head, we were talking about signage, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, I know a lot of truck drivers that are friends, and seeing a sign is almost an encouragement to them.
Probably.
Yeah, I can
So-
do that.
Do the opposite.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know.
Okay, let's see. The only thing I had, I already mentioned, you know, to take Michelle's thunder, the clerk and treasurer working on the funding, working on the treasurer's report. I think we'll see some nice progress on cleaning that up. Kind of overall, I'd like, you know, now that we're caught up on things, I'd like, you know, personally and then as a council, kind of rethink all of some of those things that are our priorities again, because we have, you know, so many things that we want to get at. It's taken us a long time to get to here. Now it's kind of like reset. What's our next, you know, rest of the year going to be focused on and plan for going into the next year. I think, you know, Michelle and Maureen getting together on the funding, you know, situation will be, you know, a critical, probably our most important next step. So we'll make sure we focus on that and determine what the needs are and get some action items on agendas going forward. Anything from you? Okay, city council comments?
I do, I'd like to say, that I do appreciate the 3 readings on, you know, us doing the rate increase. I didn't see anybody come in here and visit with us about it from the public, but at least we gave the general public ample time to say what they had to say about it. A couple people talked to me personally about it. And, but at least the 3 readings, I gave them ample time to come in and say what they needed to say. And like I said, I didn't see anybody come in here, but they at least had the opportunity.
Yeah.
The other thing about the rate changes, though, I'd like to say is, it's too bad that we couldn't, change our rates or increase our rates incrementally over a period of years. Now, unfortunately, we were in a position where we had to, you know, increase it to get it up to where it needs to be. And I'm not, you know, I don't wanna say a burden on people, but it's a large amount. And it's hard for people to understand why we did what we had to do, but it sure would have been nice for us at least to do that, over a period of years instead of all at once.
When will we see the increases in our?
It'll have to be published before it can become effective.
It'll be a couple months yet, or?
I don't know, it'll just,
I have to have it published.
it'll be published, so the 3rd reading brought it into September, it can be published now, but even after published, I think it's the 1st of the month following publishing, so.
October.
So it'll be October 1st.
And you'll do that then, you'll publish that right away?
Okay, any other council comments?
I guess I should add maybe here, or G, one of us, we have 2 interviews coming up for power linemen on Thursday. We're gonna do one in the morning and one in the afternoon, and so, hopefully we'll find somebody good. And, I know the girls put out, an ad for the police department. And I think you sent it also to Whit. And how about the shopper? Did you put it in the shopper? There's usually a lot of ads in there, so maybe you should put it in that one too.
What is the shopper?
That one that comes every Monday.
Free one.
It comes in your mailbox,
You
golden
don't pay for
shopper,
it, but-
golden shopper.
Yeah. But,
Put it on Indeed.
Huh? There you go.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, can we put that on Indeed?
Fred, you need to get with the technology and be able to
Yeah, okay, I throw away my shopper.
bring this thought.
oh, I
don't even look.
I always look at it to see, and a lot of people have price, or, you know, for wages. I don't see that. Maybe
We'll
I'll
have to keep it then.
Well, just,
And is there a way to, can we put that on Indeed?
I'll check into it.
Okay, all right, thanks, Michelle.
so that might be a good idea. But also I do think opportunity. That's what it's full of usually.
We heard no response from it.
Okay. Did you talk to them at all about sending it to them? You just emailed it? Okay, well, hopefully, maybe, we get a little broader area.
That'd be good.
Did you, I don't know how many iterations ago, I had sent you the info on the page, the ILEA website page for job
Okay, I
ads.
think, yeah, I'll do that too.
That's a good idea. That's good.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Nate.
Okay, committee reports? Any committees? Any problem? Nobody else? Departments, Nate, please.
We had a couple of, 2 locations where people had stuff taken out of their vehicles. Lock your vehicles, don't leave valuables in them, pull the keys. We've also had at least one instance here in town. Video caught somebody checking doors at a different location. I think it was just last night, Primgar had a report of somebody checking doors, vehicle doors. Sutherland had, or no, Calumet had a vehicle with the keys left in it that was taken and since recovered, but I don't know how much, I think there was some damage on it, I don't know how much, but yeah, lock your stuff up and take the keys, please.
Yeah, that makes sense. One of the things though, so we need to figure out how to have a second officer, you know, Nate would like to take a couple of vacations coming up here. I talked to the county sheriff, they're not interested in covering. I did have a discussion with Kay Gifford to see how their policing process that got brought up, you know, last time. There's like 5 people, that, as Nate mentioned, that are covering for them part-time. Some of them are, city officers, maybe deputies, but then some are like conservation officers, supposedly all certified law enforcement officers. They kind of, you know, one of them takes the lead and schedules the others. So I actually ran into one of their council members over the weekend to see what he knew about it, and it's too new. They kind of like initially they like the presence, you know, they use the Sutherland police vehicle, so they're around. So that was the first positive that's come out of it. They're just hoping it might work. I don't know if that's a possibility for us in the interim to cover some of the.
I was gonna ask after the meeting or whatever, but I had talked to her, I think after she talked to you, and she rattled off a bunch of names, but do you have any contact info for any of those officers?
She gave me the contact of the main one
Okay.
organizer, so I'll touch base with you on that, and we can get.
And then the other thing would be, I'm not positive what they're paying them, but I suspect it's more, years ago, we authorized for part-time, this to be able to get part-time to be
Right.
$25 an hour, and I suspect they're getting more than that.
I think they're more in
So
the
we'll have to figure
mid-30s.
something out there.
You know, I think like 35 plus. Kind of like hiring a part-time contract person versus a salary person with benefits and things like that. So.
And you figure in your budget, you need an extra individual, right? So. we've got
Well,
2.
yeah, every year I've budgeted for 2 full-time officers
Right.
plus at least a certain amount of part-timers.
I'm just saying we'd have money there to.
Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then if we actually get something, it'd start reducing some of the overtime I'm doing, so.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I'll get you that committee contact to the main one that's organizing that, so. Okay, Ryan, fire.
Okay, we've been out this for 2 hours and 40 minutes, so please bear with me.
We're gonna time you.
So, first off, Gene and I met with Nate tonight, talking about the new building and where he transitions in the project, and we kind of talked with him, and we're gonna go to the drawing board with him to figure out some things, possibly using the old fire station. I think dollars and cents, it's a much better option, and he's agreeable to looking at that as an option. I think it's gonna be less expensive, so that's taken care of. Second thing on that note, the fire department had their first public open house on August 28th of 2017. So we've been at this for 7 years, trying to move this forward. And past people, the comments were, till you have $250,000 property and a plan, we aren't gonna talk to you. Well, we have all that accomplished. We have our $250,000. We've been progressively working on our land this year with that $250,000, cleaning up the property, getting it ready. We have a sign up of our future home, and now we have a plan. And I really would like to sit down and have a workshop with the city to propose our plan and get your blessing with moving forward, because I wanna go public with this plan. So everybody's waiting to see this picture. All our major donors prior that expressed when you have something more. So I really need the city on board with moving forward. I know there's been different ins and outs of how involved the city was. We kinda had to get to this point before we could get the city too much more involved. We had to have something to show you guys. Until we had that, not saying you couldn't be involved, but I think that was leaving too much wide open for too much things to be said, and I don't think it would have been productive. So, but I have that, and I really would like to schedule a workshop sooner than later, because September 21st is our golf tournament, and that's really what we're aiming for, to reveal our plan. So we have a plan, 3D drawings of what the building would look like, and elevations. So yeah, I'm kind of leaving the ball in your court now.
If we do a workshop, are you thinking you're gonna have the guy from Sioux City come, that Nesbitt?
I can have Mike come, but I have everything.
You feel you're okay?
Yeah, I can explain everything moving forward. So, I'm explaining, the building types, why we went with what we did, and so on and so forth. The big thing right now, when I met with the fire department and ambulance, we just need to make sure this is the same building we want. As far as the fire department, almost 90% of that building is all dependent on us and what we have approved. We feel it's very suitable. It's not. We're not trying to build a whole bunch of hot air. So same with fits their needs, so. So yes, it's been through both of those departments and approved, so it's now waiting to be presented to you guys.
So new workshop, you know, one of my concerns is the council doesn't know much at all about it, and if you're thinking about doing it publicly, there's, what I hear is the workshop's gonna be like hearing from you, and we're not gonna have any time to have discussed debate. I'm not saying that there needs to be debate in a negative connotation or anything.
Well, I mean, what are your concerns? Because, I mean, we have to move forward with
Understand?
something to figure out. I mean, we have to get this approved so we can get our engineering going, which will be a year to 18 months, bare minimum,
Yep.
to start working this price tag out. I mean, it's gonna be, when I say a year to 18 months, we're looking at that just to, I mean, we've all kind of come to terms that this will probably have to get bonded. So, I mean, we're talking fall of 25 at the bare minimum to get this on the ballot.
And I know they're concerned, we just don't have a clue how much it costs, you know, we don't.
Neither do we.
They don't either.
We don't know. Like I said, in prior meetings with the fire department, and this is all things that is be discussed in the workshop. I mean, there's, right now with, well, let's go back to the King Construction thing, and, I mean, it's only gonna get more expensive, so I mean,
And I'm not saying anything negative, I'm just saying it's like there's not much time between now and the 21st, then we don't know what we don't know.
I think we need to do this next week.
You know?
I mean, and to be God honest truth, there's a lot of things that we don't know. Like I said, I'm trying to get a picture approved so we can move forward with our fundraising. Because, I mean, not so much of this council has taken the no hands approach. Previous councils have backed way off and said, we aren't going to discuss until we have these three things, and now we have these three things.
Did you inflation adjust that 250 from 7 years ago?
Yeah, I mean.
So
Yeah.
what do you need to do to get like an estimated price?
Well, that's where we have to say, everybody's fine with what we're presenting. Now we can send this off to engineering, because I mean, it's gotta have to go through engineering, it has to go through the state, it has to go through the state fire marshal's office. I mean, just 18 months literally is not an exaggeration, and it is all dotting i's and crossing t's to make sure this is a suitable structure.
It's hard to say yes to something where you don't have an amount.
Well, at this point in time, I don't think it would be necessarily say yes.
But going forward, you know.
Yeah.
we just
And the
need
big
to-
thing
yeah.
is we're trying to bring this picture to you
To
on
fruition.
highlight what our goals and the features that we're building into this building that doesn't even exist now.
No.
So,
Let's see. I don't think there's a problem if we just decide here to set, we don't have setting a workshop on the agenda, but I don't think that's an action item, that's a problem, so we can set the date, date and time right here.
I think we need to get moving on it and get it done as soon as we can.
Well, especially if you wanna announce it
Yeah.
in September.
The only day next week is Monday. That does not work for me.
Monday doesn't work for me either.
I would prefer Tuesday, because I'm afternoons, Wednesday and Thursday, and the likelihood of me changing that schedule is slim to none.
Or does Tuesday the 9th, that's the 9th?
10.
10.
Oh, that's very good.
Oh.
Yeah, it's another day.
Tuesday night, the tenth. That work?
So what day are you saying, Tuesday?
Tuesday.
And Tuesday the 10th?
What time?
Whatever works for you guys.
I'll be
If
gone.
you wanna do.
You'll be gone too?
Yeah, that's okay.
Maybe
Then you'll be gone too.
Wow.
The problem is that we can't
Then we
feed
don't have
off
much
each
of a
other's
workout.
questions and
Right.
discussion.
Well, is Wednesday a better day for anybody?
No,
But you can't do
I
Wednesday.
can Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay,
I'll be gone that whole week.
you're gonna be gone all of next week.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you?
Okay, so is the goal of this, is this to approve, do we have to approve the plans?
Oh, I just want
Like
your
you guys
blessing.
did?
Information, you're just giving us.
I mean, council wouldn't be approving of that.
No.
Could you type up a sheet, you're always good with your little sheets, and maybe give, if they're not gonna be around, that you could give all of us one, and then we got something to discuss.
Thursday this
Here.
week?
Can we squeeze it in this week yet then?
Right. that's what
Thursday
time
this week?
I'm okay with Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday or Friday.
Thursday,
I'm
right?
good with Thursday.
What's that?
I'm good with Thursday.
You are,
You're good
okay.
with Thursday?
Do the fifth then.
We'll have our 2 interviews that day.
Yeah.
First one's or the noon one's at 1 o'clock.
Yep.
So we should easily be done by
I'm
2.
leaving.
Thursday the
Have
fifth.
to see if I can make it work, yeah.
Yeah.
So what time are we looking at on Thursday?
Whatever works best for you.
Earlier the better?
I have to be at work at 10. I can.
Oh, we're not gonna be here for 5 hours.
No.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, we're.
Push it.
What happens, we used to get these done in an hour.
So, I mean, Denny has set, not trying to speak for Denny, he might still have questions, but he's sat through this presentation twice.
Oh,
Yeah,
so he's
yeah.
on, kinda, that's right, he's on the committee.
Yeah, so, like I said, I'm not trying to speak on his, and he might still have questions, but.
Set the time.
Set the
Set
time.
the schedule, set the time from 5:30 to 6:30.
5:30?
5:30? Does that
On
work?
Thursday.
And
If I can't get this presented in an hour,
set
then
it for an hour.
Yeah.
Set
I-
5:30 to 6:30
I already
and
planned
you're
on
at
being
I'm failing at my
6:30.
job,
Okay.
so.
Okay, 5:30 Thursday night.
Okay, we can do it.
This is
Sounds good.
Tuesday. Oh, we're supposed to, is the council workshop, like, we can do that 24, do we have to do that 48 or is 24 fine?
Yeah. Can we just have a picnic at the fire station?
So we're talking Thursday the 5th at 5:30, correct?
Thursday, 5th at 5:30.
We're doing it here?
They do it here, you want
We're
to
doing
do
it at the fire station.
I mean, it's not gonna be an action item.
Oh, either way, either place.
You don't care.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can,
Just 20 hours.
24. Okay.
What?
I think we're fine for notice.
You gotta name the place and everything.
yeah, I can be here, I can do electronic version, and I can have pictures.
Let's just
Okay.
do it.
Why don't we do
Yeah,
it here,
do
that
it
way,
here.
anybody from the public technically can
Okay.
attend. and-
Nobody cares.
All right,
Okay.
So the 5th, 5:30, right?
yep,
5:30.
All right, lastly, and I promise I'm done, I'll need some insight from Nate for help with this. I would, can we do temporary no parking on one side of that block of Willow Street?
Yeah, during games.
That's a hot mess.
Yeah.
I literally drove down and I thought I was gonna have a panic attack.
okay.
Because one car's trying to go, they're both trying to go that way, and God forbid we had an emergency.
Even on Broadway too, right down there.
Wow,
That was-
even if we had one
Side.
side
I
north
mean, yeah,
of,
the problem is Willow, you
Yeah.
got vehicles on both sides
Yeah.
and just regular vehicles are tough getting
Yeah.
through there.
For some reason I thought you guys
Is
did
that
that
south
last time.
parking lot utilized? I didn't go over there, but
yeah.
is it?
So,
I thought you did.
well, so I'm going to touch base with the school also to see if the students can park over in the employee parking lot, because that's a hot mess
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, 'cause I talked with one of the athletic people that night about it, and then later I noticed that that area south of the school there was a number of open spots
Yeah.
with the players or the students or somebody could fill that in.
Yeah. So I know we've had discussions about, I'm just thinking temporary because I'm with the school construction, it's gonna be a disaster for a number of years, so.
Well, that and harvest is gonna be
Yeah.
starting here too.
No,
and
it's
everything
yeah,
else,
maybe
so.
get it set up so it's handles both things.
Do we have signage to do that, or? How would we?
No.
Called a computer and printer.
Yeah, exactly.
It's temporary, I mean, we're
Just
doing,
staple them to,
yeah.
Yeah.
Get some laugh
We had
and-
some laugh or something.
Yeah.
I would
All-
guess, how many cones, it seems like we almost have to put cones out blocking off the site, because people aren't gonna pay attention as it gets dark, dimmer
Right.
to signs and
I
signs.
have bright orange, like literally neon orange paper, so.
We just got a bunch of cones and they have 10-foot bars that can go from cone to cone.
Oh.
So I mean, we could put,
So we can put them out, like a couple feet out in
Yeah.
the street.
Okay.
I think we have,
Yeah.
20 of the
Some signage
6-footers
would be
and
good, too.
Yeah.
Right.
20 of the 6-footers, so.
That'd be, if you put them like a couple feet from the curb or.
I only even put them a couple, just right next to the curb.
Right next to the curb.
Because it's gonna be like, hey, what,
Yep.
Nate and I would be jobless if everybody followed the law. So, I mean,
That's it. Perfect.
there's unfortunately warning labels for everything, so
Yep.
can only do so much. Well, I'll work with Nate.
Work with Nate, work with Michelle on it, we have to post an agenda tomorrow for the workshop.
It's just a presentation of,
Fire station presentation.
yeah, fire station presentation.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Pretty
Very good.
straightforward.
Right.
Okay.
Remember we adjourned?
Steve, motion, Danny, second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye. Carried.
You don't have to worry about that one.
I didn't know if anyone heard it. I'm sorry.
I don't think so.
Right by it, Jenny.
I've been in meetings for the.
Really? And I squeezed it
Oh,
behind
I thought
you.
you were.
No, I'm sorry.
Better?
Told you 7:30. Not 8. Well, I'm hoping to make you find something.